and welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to tell you a little bit about a book series I've read recently called Entwined Tales. The Entwined Tales series is a series of 6 different fairy tales by 6 different authors. Each author has her own independent set of fairy tale novels, which brought them together based on their similar story content. They combine their talents to create an original series about a bumbling fairy godfather named Mortimer who goes around granting unwanted gifts to princesses from 6 different fairy tales. Some of the fairy tales they picked are rather obscure, such as The Goose Girl and East of the Sun, West of the Moon, which was turned into a live-action movie called The Polar Bear King in 1991, but I wasn't a fan of it. Now for this video, I'm going to read you a little bit of each of my reviews for the 6 books in the series, but if you'd like to find the full reviews, you can do that on theprincessblog.org, and they will also be linked to down below in the description. So the first book is called A Goose Girl by K.M. Shea, and it's based on the Grimm brothers' fairy tale, The Goose Girl. The story is about a woodcutter's daughter named Rin, who is forced to switch places with a bumbling princess. A Goose Girl is great fun for anyone who loves fairy tales. It was very interesting to read about a heroine who was forced into being a princess against her will. It was also fun to read about a princess who longs for adventure but doesn't know the first thing about taking care of herself. The book was short and fast-paced, making for an enjoyable and rewarding story experience without a big time commitment. I think this might be my favorite book I've read by K.M. Shea. The Entwined Tales series is a great idea both in concept and execution. The second book is An Unnatural Beanstalk by Brittany Fichter, based on the fairy tale Jack and the Beanstalk. It tells the story of another one of the woodcutter's daughters named Eva, who gets kidnapped by a duke after Mortimer gives her the unwanted gift to grow or destroy crops when she plays the harp. An Unnatural Beanstalk created a lot of untapped potential by excluding the giants and magical kingdom in the sky from the story it was based on. Thanks to the lack of whimsy, I found it less creative than the other books in the series and by far the darkest. The plot was very similar to every other princess book I've read. That said, Jack and Eva were likable enough as characters, and the romance between them was endearing. I saw many parallels to Brittany's other novel, The Autumn Fairy, but I liked that book a lot more thanks to its fantasy and originality. The message about bad parenting was enforced a little too much. It seemed as if all the characters' problems could have been solved with better parents, whether Mortimer's magic had been part of the story or not. It was an enjoyable enough book, but not the best in the series. The third book is A Bear's Bride by Sherry Tapscott. This book was based on the fairy tale East of the Sun, West of the Moon, which is about a girl who marries a polar bear who transforms into a human at night. It's not one of my favorite fairy tales, and it did not have one of my favorite movie adaptations either. The movie adaptation was called The Polar Bear King. Not very good. Even though A Bear's Bride was my least favorite of the Entwined Tales, I wouldn't say it was an unpleasant read. It was just bland and held little substance. It kept up with the tone of the original series, despite working with an unpopular fairy tale and making little use of Mortimer's bumbling. It could have been more enjoyable if the pacing were better and it had stayed closer to the source material, with Sophie not knowing what Henry looked like as a man. I would only recommend this book to hardcore fairy tale fanatics or completionists who want to read every book in the Entwined Tales series. Otherwise, it's safe to skip over this one. The fourth book, A Beautiful Curse by Kenley Davidson, was my favorite in the series. Based on the Grimm brothers' tale The Frog Bride, not to be confused with The Frog King or Frog Prince, it was about a beautiful girl named Elisette who was cursed by Mortimer at birth with her beauty because she didn't want it. She was more interested in pursuing knowledge and being a scholar, but because she was a woman in a time where women were not very highly respected as scholars, and because she drew so much unwanted attention because of her looks, this got in the way, so Mortimer tried to help her by turning her into a frog. A Beautiful Curse did a fantastic job of conveying the overall theme of the Entwined Tales series, that magical gifts that seem harmless can become curses if they are given to the wrong person. Elizabeth was by far the strongest and most interesting heroine in all of the books. She had the clearest goals and the most rational plan for attaining them. The romance was done equally well and teaches us that love isn't any easier for conventionally beautiful women than it is for anyone else. If you only read one book from Entwined Tales, make it this one. A Little Mermaid by Aya Ling was the 5th book in the series. Unlike the other books, it didn't tell the story of one of the woodcutter's children, but instead a mermaid from an underwater world named Cleo. The Little Mermaid is a fun and lighthearted take on a classic fairy tale. It can be enjoyed as a standalone novel or alongside the rest of the books from the Entwined Tales series. Aya Ling has a unique voice. She is capable of creating strong heroines who still have vulnerabilities in certain areas. This book is a great alternative to the original fairy tale for anyone who finds Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid too dark or sad. It lowers all the stakes for the mermaid princess's life on land, making it more of a learning experience than a life-staking risk. Finally, the 6th book in the series is An Inconvenient Princess by Melanie Sellier. This book tells the story of Penny, who is the twin of Annalise, and they are the final children of the cursed woodcutter family. Penny, who goes on a quest to rescue her twin sister Annalise, winds up getting tangled in Rapunzel's tower. And Rapunzel is a very comedic character, very similar to the princess from the 1st book in the series, a Goose Girl. Though I didn't enjoy An Inconvenient Princess quite as much as the books from Melanie Sellier's Four Kingdoms series, it was still a fun read. It's a lighthearted take on the story of Rapunzel with a similar tone to Aya Ling's The Little Mermaid. Melanie also did a fantastic job of closing out the entire series by concluding the arc of Mortimer's Follies and referencing all of the characters from the previous books. Penny was a little too capable as a heroine, but her love for her sister was admirable, and Rapunzel made for a great comedic sidekick. I would recommend this book to anyone who enjoyed the other books in the series and wants to learn how it ends. I hope you enjoyed my little summary of each book in the series, and to learn more, click on the links below to find my full reviews for each book, and you can also find reviews for other books by these same 6 authors on the Princess blog. That's it for today, guys! Thanks for watching my channel! If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments which princess or princesses you'd like to hear about next. Check the video description for all relevant links, and remember to always follow your dreams.